Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we've had a very long wrestling weekend. So I'm just going to jump right into it. We had NXT Stand and Deliver. It was on before WrestleMania Night 1. And I dare say that, honestly, low key, this might have been better than Night 1 in general of like match, abilities. I definitely feel like the cinema that was Night 1 is going to be long lasting. But I feel like some of these matches here were like, just pretty goddamn good. So let's just jump right into it. We had the pre-show match, which really shouldn't have been on the pre-show. Like, this, it wasn't a bad match, but it's just like this was a big deal to have all of these women get a huge chance to be on the card for one and for the tag team champions. I thought it was pretty interesting though. We had a eight, or I guess like a four-way, but it's eight women in there for the tag team number one contendership. It was an elimination I don't want to say chamber, but style of match. So each team was able to eliminate. I really thought it was going to be a Roxanne and Jade thing. I feel like that was kind of like the go-to, but they just teased them splitting again. And it ended up being Paxley and Gigi Dolan, which would be really cool if Lyra had won the tag teams with Bailey, or if I mean, Bailey's not going to be in the match, but if Lyra wins it because Paxley and Lyra have a history and stuff. So I digress. This match I thought was pretty solid. I put it in the good. I would put it like in that B to C range. I don't think it was anything too crazy. I felt like they could have definitely made it to the show, and I think that would have definitely made the hype better. But I was just kind of like, as a pre-show match, I wasn't really far or really invested in it, and it could have definitely soured the start of this, but it ended up being pretty good. So we'll then start with the first actual match on the show, which was the North American Championship, which was Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page, which is just insane that two AEW people that very recently were in AEW are in this match. I thought the match itself was pretty solid. Um, Good back and forth, good. It's like a really good opener. Like I felt like they went out there and they definitely showed out. Obviously, I think like both men were, don't have like the flashiest move sets, but I think everybody, like if you were watching it, had a really good just flow to it. I'd put it in quite good. I thought it was a really good way to start off the show. Next up, we had the men's tag team championship match, which was Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus Hank and Tank. Now, I felt like they built Hank and Tank up pretty well to actually be somebody that had teeth that could actually take on these two, because I feel like Fraxium was going to probably hold on to those titles forever or lose it in a way where there was multiple tag teams and they had nothing to do with it. But I felt the way that they did it here was worth it. And man, did this match absolutely cook. I feel like there was just nothing but just back and forth. Like they were just so good at showing everything. I On this tier list we have like match of the night and exciting, and normally which would be like my S and A tier. I think I would have had a lot more in the S tier, but like because we're gonna try to do it one match of the night, I think it makes it a little bit harder. But this match was very close to my favorite match of the night. I put up an exciting. It was definitely like S tier. Like it's just a really good tag match, really good moves. I thought everybody delivered. No pun intended for the name of the PLE, but it was really good. Next up, we had the six-woman ladder match for the North American title that was vacant. We had Sol Ruka versus Kalani Jordan versus not Lyra, Lola Vice versus Fia Hale versus Zarya, and then Izzy Dame. This was a very like unique set of women because like a lot of them are like in the mid card area, but some of them don't always get as much TV time. Izzy Dame with being part of the culling, or has it culling? Yeah, I feel like is trying to, they're trying to get her more over, and I think she did really phenomenal in this match. I think everybody did great, but Soul winning it, and Soul with that Soul stature up in the top, and then a double Soul stature was absolutely perfect. She was my sentimental pick. Like I really wanted her to win. I thought because she won that Speed Championship very recently that they weren't gonna pull the trigger, but they did, and I'm perfectly fine with it. That moment with Zarya up at the top was absolute cinema, where they just kind of like looked at each other and they knew what they were had to do, and it was perfect. I feel like everybody really did have a good time to shine, and everybody really showed up. I think that's the cool thing with this type of match that NXT seems to do pretty good is when they have like a ladder match or like a six-woman thing. I think everybody got their time to look a little dominant and did what they needed to do. Obviously, I think the MVP was Soul in here, and I really even wouldn't say a bad performer was in anything because even like Thea Hill and Kalani Jordan that might not have had as many spots where they looked dominant, they definitely had some good moves and some good moments out there. So I put up an exciting. I think the men's tag match is maybe just a little bit above it, but overall, yeah. Next up, we had a six-man tag match, which was the Dark State versus the Family. I feel like I'm very uninvested in this storyline in general. I basically, I think, like I feel like I scripted it from my prediction video with Stacks turning on Tony and all that. I felt like it was very predictable. I was like, Stacks either turns on him or is the leader Dark State, but I didn't really want that either because I think Dark State only survives if it's really just these four dudes doing what they need to do as like performance enhancing talent or like what they people view them as, just like, hey, these guys aren't the main event stars, and they're like, nah, we're gonna do what we gotta do. I think overall the match was still pretty good. I think there's a lot of good spots. I think it showed off. I just personally wasn't super invested in it. I think it was my least favorite match of the night. I'd probably put it in whatever. I probably would never watch that match again. I think overall, for the story of what NXT is going through and all that, I think it was worth putting on the card. But if you had swapped this out with the women's tag match, I would have been probably happier to see that. But next up, we get the double main event. I always kind of call this a double main event because it's both titles. Honestly, either one could have flipped. But honestly, watching these, I actually do think they put it in the right order. The Fatal 4-Way for the women's title between Stephanie Vicor, Julia, Jada Parker, and Jordan Grace was an absolute banger. I do feel a little, I think, slightly let down compared to I thought it like I was thinking this was going to be match of the night. It was kind of like my prediction. I really would like if you gave me money on it, I definitely would have still went with the main event, but this one was still pretty close to like I would have thought it was going to deliver this craziness, which again, it had some amazing spots and I'm not going to shit on it because it's still a really good match, but I do feel slightly like little bit disappointed and I thought it was going to be crazier. Sometimes that happens. I feel like there was a match at WrestleMania night one was like that. I was like, this is going to be the match of the night. And I was a little let down that it wasn't, but it was still a great match. And I think that's how this is. Like, it's still a phenomenal match. I will definitely watch it again. I loved, everybody had a really good showing in this. Stephanie looked amazing as a champion. And yeah, I really liked everything here. I'm going to put it in exciting. I would definitely put it in S tier if I was doing it on the traditional scale. But we get to the main event, Javon Evans versus Oba Fetty versus Trick Williams. This was probably one of the best matches of NXT for the entire year. I think the only things I could ever come up to, even being remotely, like if I think of an NXT match, like I'm more of like a modern era of NXT, like the last 2 to 3 years. So there's probably other matches that could be maybe rated higher, but this is the epitome of the best match that I think I've seen as an NXT product. I think it was perfect. The what you had here with these three men was the epitome of what the men's division and NXT in general has. You had somebody who's super high flyer, super mobile, which was, Javon Evans, who had that beast, that absolute monster of Obafemi, and then you had Trick Williams, who has a combination of both of those and just has some good hard strikes. But man, this absolutely cooked. This was the match of the night. I have to put it up at the top. It was just everything that you could want in a match was in this match, and every move, everything that had it was so decisive to make you just keep just being like, holy crap, this is awesome, holy crap, this is awesome. And it's just, there was just so much stuff that like the back and forth and like I wouldn't even say like finisher fest. It was just people getting slammed and jumping. All of it just looked so good. And it really felt like through most of that, anybody could have walked out there and won that match. And I think that's always a good sign of like, especially a triple threat that sometimes can lag with not knowing how to use all three men in the ring at the same time, or even just like, what do we do with one guy and have all that. This one just was that perfect blueprint to put it. And I honestly think it was my match of, well, so far the year of NXT for sure. And I feel like in just NXT in general that I've ever watched in the modern era, this might be the match of it. I really can't think of anything other than maybe Oba Femi's had some really good triple threats. I think the one with Brooks and God, who was the other person that was in that match? That one was really good. Um, but yeah, this was just phenomenal. I think overall this show would honestly be a really solid A for me. I enjoyed every step of it. And even the matches that I personally didn't enjoy, I don't think are bad matches. Like the six-man tag match, I really don't think it's a bad match. Don't I didn't really wasn't invested. I just didn't really care. Like if I would have skipped that match, I think I would have been fine. It wasn't anything crazy. It's just for story. And the women's tag match, I think in the beginning could have definitely felt a little bit more put together if it was on the main show. I know that kind of feels weird that like saying, but it just felt like it was watching a pre-show match. Sometimes it just feels, sometimes you can see the difference. It's definitely if you watch like an AEW program, that's how it definitely feels like, where you can definitely tell why that was in the pre-show instead of everything else. But yeah, if you guys have been enjoying this content, this has been Japan. I am gonna have WrestleMania Night 1 not too long after this. Should be on the same day. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one, and WrestleMania Night 2 and a bunch of other videos this week to go over WrestleMania, NXT, everything that you could think of. It will be here. And until next time, this has been Japan. Bye guys.